Hi, I'm Zanzi. You are listening to Farmers Inside Track, proudly brought to you by Food from Zanzi. My name is Patricia Tembo, your host, and welcome to today's Farmer Mentor episode. We are joined by Matjee Mokgoadi, who's the founder of Phuti Ya Mashilape Group. Join us as he shares how he has developed an agribusiness aimed at farmer development and support. Matjee Mokgoadi, welcome to Farmers Inside Track. We are excited to have you on our episode today as our farmer mentor. Matjee, you're the founder of Phuti Ya Mashilape Group, which is an agricultural business focused on farm management and helping farmers scale their farming businesses. So maybe explain how the business came about and just your background into how you got into agriculture.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's a real privilege to be interviewed within the agricultural environment. My journey in agriculture started from maybe understanding the realities faced by rural communities, especially young people who struggle with unemployment and lack of opportunities. And then agriculture for me became more than just farming from then on. Maybe trying to use it as a tool for economic development, leadership, and community empowerment. For my starting point, I started working on vegetable production projects, particularly tomato and leafy vegetables, whilst also assisting farmers and co-ops with compliance through the leadership work I have, being deputy chairperson in the yard. Yard is Youth in Agriculture and Rural Development. So over time, I realized that many emerging farmers fail not because they cannot produce, but because they lack systems, market access, and business support. Yeah. That is what pushed me to combine farming with mentorship, agribusiness, development, and youth leadership through structures like Yard South Central and my consulting work through the Phuti Ya Mashilape Group. I'm at least getting to hang off the agricultural environment and the actual realities on the ground.
That's so cool. Sounds like before you started your business, you were quite informed about the current challenges farmers face, because I'm assuming you're coming from that background as well, where you have seen the issues in real life. So you are able to create the solutions, and you've said the mentorship sort of programs that assist farmers directly. So I'm curious now to know more about your agribusiness. What exactly do you do in farmer development?
What I do in Phuti Ya Mashilape Group is that my work operates across both agriculture and agribusiness support services. It's unfortunate that I'm not a qualified agronomist or production manager or farm manager, but I'm hoping to get academically inclined one day. But for me, it's based off the side of being a dropout of University of Western Cape. I was studying BA, history, sociology, anthropology, a bit of geography. So that's something that led me into being able to understand the land dynamics of how land can assist in the unemployment scene. Because now, if you look at the rural areas, what we have most vastly, it's land. And the businesses which are here mostly predominantly, if they're agriculture, they lack services or mentors in a way that they'll help them scale the businesses. Because at the end of the day, being in agriculture doesn't mean you are a leader. The business is trying to combine the agri-practical skills and also the agri-business element, because most people don't take agriculture as a viable business for them. And then on the production side, we focus mainly on vegetable farming, particularly tomatoes, Swiss chard, onions, beetroot, and other cash crops aimed at improving cash flow and food production. Because I'm currently in the midst of developing a cooperative now. One of the tribal authorities that I'm under, Matjee Tribal Authority, has given us land. We started the co-op. I'm helping to facilitate it. Although once the directors and executives and members are capacitated, the group will hand over the project management to the leaders within the co-op. On the agri-business side, through consulting and management support, we help farmers, cooperatives, and SMEs become compliant and investment ready. These other things include business plans, funding proposals, and company compliance, governance systems, the farmer mentorship, market linkage support, and agricultural project development, which is the one I'm currently busy with, the cooperative. We are also exploring agro-processing opportunities, especially around products like spinach and chilies, because value addition is important for improving farmer profitability and creating jobs in the rural areas. That's why we are primarily focused on income generation. So that leads to production.
There's a lot that your business covers, but where exactly does your business operate? Where are you?
For now, I'm in Limpopo Province, Sekhukhune District, operating under Makurutamara Municipality. Mainly because of funds, the business is still new, so we are just trying to localize production first before we can say we are competing with huge markets or huge producers. So for now, we are within the jurisdiction of Sekhukhune District. Across Sekhukhune District, we will be trying to assist farmers, including with yard leadership, to assist young people get into agriculture.
Thanks for sharing that. And looking at the vegetable production side, as you said, it's also a way of creating and maintaining cash flow in the business. What does the operations look like in terms of that? That you mentioned that you focus on cash crops. So the markets, maybe talk us through the vegetable production aspect of your business as well.
I've been working with different farmers before I actually started the business formally. One thing that I try to emphasize is the need for ownership. If you're going to be a farmer coming from a rural space, in terms of market, try to focus on direct market because that's where you get the most money. And then when you are able to scale and sell about 100 or 300 bunches, then you can go to retail because now people are losing a lot of money, not understanding the dynamics of scale. That's the thing. Within us, it's a thing of we start on our own. I try when I manage these businesses that we must work on placing the systems first before we can say money will solve the problem for us. So that's where I advise people to say, let's have direct market so that you can grow. And the focus brings us back on the income generation aspect. You're lowering costs, increasing the profitability. And then in turn, you can reinvest and increase the production. So we have that thing of we see people having 5, 6, 20 hectare farms, doing it big, and then that thing just rubs us the wrong way, you see. Working on that, it's a critical theme for young farmers who see farming in a landscape of the TV.
And looking at how you actually were able to start the business, of course, funding is something that you probably had to acquire, to get things started. Maybe talk us through what some of the challenges have been in getting the business going and actually being in a position where you are able to upskill, mentor, and support other farmers as well. What are the challenges you've experienced and how did you navigate them?
One of my biggest challenges is access to funding and infrastructure. So many young farmers have passion and ideas, but they struggle with resources. Simple things like irrigation systems, inputs, machinery, and access to formal markets if someone is semi-commercial. Another challenge is that many rural farmers are not compliant or organized in a way that makes them attractive to funders and buyers. So it's not like the money isn't there. And it's a thing of, if you understand the context of money, maybe let me take you off track a bit. Like to get funding for a rural kid, you have to have taxi fare to go into town, to go certify your documents. You have to have money to print out documents. There's just a lot of costs that are not seen with the naked eye to say that hinder rural kids to say for us, I believe I'm fund ready, I'm fundable because that's costly business. In terms of us, we try to strengthen stakeholder engagements with other stakeholders such as Makurutamara Municipality, the Department of Agriculture for workshops and funding sessions that bring farmers together at one go. And then that at least we are working on the barriers to being fund ready. I navigated these challenges by focusing on building systems and gradually strengthening partnerships and becoming proactive in learning how funding processes and agricultural development structures work. Instead of waiting for opportunities, I started helping others become fund ready as well, because I realized that collaboration, knowledge sharing are essential for rural agricultural development.
It's quite important that you mentioned that often cases to get funding, you need funding to get funding. In a sense, in the transport, the money for transport to go to the offices, the printing costs for the documents you need to fill in, all of those things already require money for you to get more money. And I think, as you've mentioned, you're working on a cooperative, and working together is a way of being able to meet that requirements that's needed to get funding.
Talking about that, it's something which is assisting me as Phuti Ya Mashilape Group to, like I say, to sustainably start development of agricultural projects. Because now it's not like I'm getting money as the management group for the co-op now, but with the minimum contributions monthly that the members are able to do, I can go out, I can meet stakeholders, I can buy resources, we can add on maybe seedling trays to increasing production, the quality of the seed. So in a way, the cooperative model, if it's done right, I think it can be something that can assist many people.
It's a good model. Like you being positioned in your community and also being young, that you're able to share this knowledge. It's quite incredible. Looking at the principles that have guided you with the business, of course, like running a project, and now that is a business itself, it's not always easy, right? So what are the principles that you stick by, that have kept you going?
I gravitate along 4 principles that guide me. One is discipline. Second one, it's service. Third one, it's integrity. And the final one, it's long-term impact. I believe agriculture requires patience and consistency. Results do not come overnight. That's the thing. And also, leadership is about service, helping other farmers grow, become compliant, and accessing opportunities. That's something for us, even if you don't get money out of it, you can sleep better at night. Integrity is also important because agriculture and development work involves trust from community, stakeholders, and partners. And lastly, I focus on long-term impact. I'm not only interested in producing crops, but in helping build sustainable agricultural systems that empower young people and rural communities economically. Maybe the thing with me is that I've been to Cape Town for about so many years. I was able to see the gap, and the gap, it's information driven. That's the wider thing that's happening. So I'm able to fill it out within the rural landscape from the perspectives or the insight I've seen being in around environments which are not like mine.
I think you're right in that a huge gap in farmers being able to have profitable and sustainable business is that gap of information, like having access to information. You've explained it so well. In Yard, I believe you have a leadership position in that as well. And you mentioned leadership being something that is critical for the farmers that you are working with, like instilling that and encouraging that. So where does the position that you are in with the organization Yard help, being someone who's helping farmers develop? What does the legacy look like in terms of that? Maybe speaking more to leadership and why you think it is important to share that with others.
I want to leave a legacy of youth empowerment and farmer development and sustainable rural economic transformation, because it is possible in the land of AI now. There's so many things that we can actually do even if we are in remote areas. So there's so much semi-migration back to rural areas, and that's the thing, that understanding the knowledge and making it practical and economically impactful, it's something which is lacking. So I want to be remembered as someone who helped young people see agriculture as a serious business and career path, not as a last resort. I also want to contribute towards building organized, compliant, and commercially viable farmers who can participate meaningfully in the agricultural economy. Beyond farming itself, I hope my work helps create systems. I'm a huge systems person. Because just like AI, it's systems and they help you do more with less. And if you're in an environment such as ours, which is a rural economy, that's your superpower now, that systems are there. And mentorship platforms and opportunities that continue empowering future generation, even after me.
I like that you mentioned how important systems are, because for it to exist, it exists in a system. There's nothing that works in isolation or alone. You need different aspects and factors, and there's just a lot that goes into agriculture. And it's important for people to see agriculture through a systems thinking and through a system lens. And you also spoke about that agriculture shouldn't be seen as a last resort, right? And for a lot of farmers, maybe new, just recent graduates who are thinking of farming now as a last resort because of the current unemployment situation in the country, what advice do you have? Why should the mentality be not to see agriculture as a last resort?
I feel like sovereignty should come first for us as Black youth. And sovereignty in terms of we have many graduates who are not implementing what they have studied. And I don't want to be blaming them. It's the system which has placed us in a way that all of us, we go to universities or colleges for employment. That thing of being an employer, of running a business was never instilled within the Black communities. The reason why we see now within everything, matches and everything like that, it's a thing with only if we do those type of things, people are gone. How are we going to bring ourselves with that mindset? Because even graduates, agricultural graduates, they're not farming. I would believe that if someone is studying farming, they have to have even onion or spinach or just something, because you learn every day and then that thing it's self-sustainable. But in short, my advice is to start where you are, use what you have and remain consistent. Many people wait for perfect conditions before starting, but agriculture teaches you through practical experience. I'm an experiential learning type of a person, which is something schools don't want to focus on. But start small if necessary, but start professional. That's something that like we need to teach our fellow farmers or leaders, is that even if you're starting small, don't just do a shabby job because you feel like that's not how you should be starting. Secondly, treat farming like a business from day one. I would say keep records, understand your market, build relationships, and focus on compliance and planning. Thirdly, never stop learning. Agriculture is changing rapidly through technology, climate realities, market demand, so continuous learning is essential. Lastly, build networks and seek mentorship. Agriculture grows faster through collaboration than through isolation, I would say.
Thank you for sharing that. I think you put it all very well. And for those who are listening to this episode, I'm quite sure they've taken some notes and have learned from you, especially how important it is, the practicality of agriculture, as you were speaking of. Matjee, I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add before we come to the end of the conversation.
People should seek out us because we will be working. I have a lot of talented youth within the yard structure, which will be anticipating seeing partnerships and stakeholders and all the great things that like a lot of agricultural organization and practitioners. The thing is, if they don't know you, you'll never get help. So I believe that we will be building a lot of relationship with other farmers and institutions going forward after the interview.
Do you have a website or a social media page where those who are, wanting to know more about Phuti Ya Mashilape Group?
I have an email, Phuti Ya Mashilape Group @gmail.com. And for anyone who would like to understand what Yard is, we are on TikTok, we are on Facebook, and I think we are on LinkedIn. It's Yard South Central.
Thank you so much to Matjee Mokgoadi. If you'd like to read his story, you can definitely visit www.foodfromzansi.co.za. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform. From myself, Patricia Tembo, our technical producer, Megan van der Vent, and the rest of #Team Food from Zanzi, thank you for listening and keep growing with us.